In this video, I'm going to cover how to add and subtract polynomials, and we'll be paying particular attention to the sign that's in the middle on these problems. So I have 5 problems I want to do with you real quick to model how to do these. First one, we'll just start out with number 1. Now, what I want you to look at first is if you have a plus sign in the middle, that means you're in pretty good shape. You don't have a whole lot to worry about when you're just adding. I'd like you to get in the habit of rewriting the problem without parentheses. Now, this is going to come in handy, especially when you're subtracting. But when you're adding, it's going to help you keep track of your terms. It's not going to be as obvious as they're short like this. But when I have an addition sign, that addition sign is technically distributing a positive 1 to both the first and second term in this parenthesis, in the set of parentheses. And if there were 4 or 5 things in that set of parentheses, then it would work the same way. But basically, on addition problems, the reason that it's easy is that nothing changes. Just rewrite it without parentheses. The next thing is to make sure you understand what like terms look like when you're talking about exponents. There are 3 levels of terms in this problem. Let me switch over to green highlighter. You've got the highest term is p to the 3rd power. Now I also have p to the 2nd power here and here. Those are like terms. They have the same base. They have the same exponent. The yellow and the green cannot be combined. Right? They are both have p as the base, but that doesn't mean anything. And then I also have just a 3 that is all by itself here. And you'll see how that works when we write our answer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine, starting with the highest term, negative 3p to the 3rd. Now I don't have another p to the 3rd term, so there's nothing to change the coefficient. It's going to stay the same. Now I can also combine 5p to the 2nds with a positive 2p to the 2nds. And notice I include the sign when I circle or I put a square around like terms. It's going to tell me what I'm looking at. But the problem is that I'm working is 5p to the 2nd plus 2p to the 2nd, which gives me a positive 5p to the 2nd. The one I haven't used yet is this minus 3, and that's just going to essentially drag and drop right here. All right, I am done with that problem at that step. None of these can be combined because none of those exponents are the same thing. I can't put them together. Negative 3 is considered a constant since there is not a letter or a variable attached to it. So my answer is this trinomial, and that is simplified. So watch your like terms. Now in this one, notice that there's a negative sign in between the 2 parentheses. And this makes a huge difference. I'm going to, well, let me get rid of the highlighter. Switch over to pen. Let me put a little caution symbol. When you see that negative sign, that's a big deal. I want you to do that rewrite step. So we'll do that first. I want that to be a habit for you. The first parenthesis is not affected. It's going to be a to the 3rd power minus 2a to the 2nd power. Now everything after that, though, is going to flip. Since I'm subtracting, that negative symbol is distributing a negative 1 to everything in the parentheses that follow it, regardless of how many terms. In this case, we have 2. Negative 3a to the 2nd, and a negative 4a to the 3rd. Now you know when you have 2 negatives in the middle, what that means is opposite of my first negative sign and opposite of negative for my second sign. So opposite of negative is positive. You're flipping signs. So 4a to the 3rd power. All right, now let's go back to that awareness of like terms again. Like terms. I have the highest exponent is a to the 3rd power. I don't know where I got in the habit of putting squares around the first one I did. It really doesn't make any difference. But use some form of visual indicator to yourself that you've worked with that term. And as we do that last one, problem 5 is going to be a long one down there. And you'll see why it's important to keep track of where you are. So I have a to the third power plus 4 more a to the third powers gives me 5a to the third powers. Those two terms are taken care of. Now the ones I have left are both a to the second powers. Negative 2 minus 3 more of them is negative 5 a to the second power. You can stop there. You're done. You can't combine a to the thirds with a to the seconds. And that problem is finished. But pay particular attention when you see that negative sign in the middle. Let's do problem 4. The rewrite step without parentheses is 4n minus 3n to the third. I'm going to go ahead and highlight that again because that's your warning sign right there. When you have that negative sign in the middle, just pay attention because that applies to the 3n to the third, making it a negative 3n to the third. It also applies to the 4n, making it a negative 4n. It flips the signs. Okay, so like terms, I'm going to start out with these two. I'm going to work that problem first. Negative 3n third minus 3n to the third is negative 6n to the third. Now, if you didn't handle that sign correctly, you may have thought that that should have been a positive there in the middle, and that would have canceled those out, and you would have had a very wrong problem on your hands. Then you have 4n minus 4n. Well, those indeed do cancel each other out. So your answer is negative 6n to the third. If you had not handled this step right here correctly, you would have had negative 6 into no, that's not right. You would have had 8n as an answer rather than negative 6 into the third. Right, second to last example, it just gets a little bit longer, but as long as you understand how to handle that negative sign that's in between the parentheses and how to do like terms, that's the only two sets of skills you need here. So on your rewrite step, you have 12a to the fifth minus 6a minus 10a to the third. You're probably already thinking I have 3 different types of terms here. Those cannot be combined in any way. Now hopefully you're also thinking that I need to flip the signs on every term in the parentheses after that negative sign. And rewrite that. Negative 10a plus 2a to the fifth plus 14a to the fourth. So rather than seeing this problem, I want you to see this one that you rewrote. It's a good habit to start out with the highest exponent, which is a to the fifths. So I'm going to mark that a to the fifth and that a to the fifth. Write big enough that you can read your writing. Sometimes worksheets don't give you enough room. Do those steps on notebook paper. Don't copy the problem, though. The first step you would put on number 11 on your notebook paper is what I wrote right here. I don't need to write all of this up here again. So I'm going to go ahead and combine those. 12a to the fifth plus 2 more a to the fifths is 14a to the fifths. So I'm going to scan and just see what's my next one. 14a to the fourth. There's not another one. I'm going to put a check mark, and I'm just going to copy it down here. It doesn't combine with anything, but I can't just get rid of it. As I continue scanning, it looks like negative 10a to the third power is my next one, and there's only one of them, so I'm going to write them in as well. I'm going to put a check mark. Now you notice I have 2 that are in squares, I have 2 that are checked off, and I have 2 that are left that are combinable. Negative 6a minus 10 more a's is negative 16a. And since I had 4 layers, 4 levels of terms here, it's important that you have a visual indicator that you've handled every single term in this step that you wrote up here. I have check marks, circles around, or boxes around every single term. And I can feel very confident that I've not left anything out and arrived at my answer. All right, our last one. It's not harder. It's longer. It looks more complicated, but there's just a few more steps. And just take a quick survey of the problem first. I've got a plus sign here. I have no worries. All this just copies down. I have a plus sign here. Again, I've got no worries. I don't have to worry about flipping signs anywhere. So my rewrite step still needs to happen. You want to do every problem the same way. Don't make adjustments. You'll confuse yourself. Now, I don't want to put plus a negative. I just want to put the negative. I left my exponent off there. Minus 8u. Make sure that you keep every term in there. It's easy to leave a term out, especially if you get distracted. And now I'm to here. I want to be sure again. I don't put a plus minus. I want to just put the minus. All right. Now what I'm scanning for is the highest term that comes first. U comes before V in the alphabet, so I want the highest exponent on U. So 3, this exponent would be a 1. This is a 3, it's a 1, it's a 2, it's a 4. All right, so this one is going to come first. I'm going to underline it because I know there's a whole lot more coming. As a negative, I don't want to leave it out. So the first term in my answer step is negative 8, U to the 4th, V to the 2nd. That was taken care of. Now I saw a couple of 3's. This is a U to the 3rd, followed by a V to the 4th. Like terms have to be exactly the same all the way through. So this is a U3V4, this is a U3V4, this is a U3V4. So I'm going to do double underlines on those 3 terms because those will all go together. And just work those out left or right, just like an order of operations problem. Negative 5 of them, minus 5 more is negative 10. Now skip over here. Negative 10 plus 8 gives you a negative 2. So now I've got 3 terms left to go. This one looks like it's all by itself. So I'm just going to put a box around that one to make sure that I know I've handled it. Don't want to leave it out. 8u squared, v squared. And then I have 2 terms that'll combine. I'm going to put circles around those. So I've got 9u minus 8u, which is just a positive u. That's it. Alright, so remember to rewrite. I want you to do a rewrite step without parentheses. Remember to distribute that negative sign if you need to. And remember how to combine like terms. And you'll find mastery in this step. Good luck.